Here's your daily dose of fitness, food, and fun. Angelica's Daily Surprise starts now.
This is a really great soup if you wanted to do it as an appetizer, to serve in shot glasses and do soup shooters.
What you gonna do with all those chunks? All those chunks up in your soup?
I've been known to crush nuts using the back of
Your
the
butt
plate.
cheeks. Oh, okay. Hello there and welcome to my apartment. It's Thanksgiving! Yay! And I don't know about you, but whenever I think of Thanksgiving, my mind immediately goes to pumpkins. Everything and anything pumpkin related. Now I want to eat it. What are we gonna make though? Here on Angelica's Daily Surprise, you know I prioritize quick and easy, but still high quality. And who better to guide us through a tasty and simple, delicious recipe, tasty and delicious? It can be tasty and delicious recipe than the one and only Chef Cori. Surprise!
Yay! Thank you for having me here.
What are we making today?
We are making the Gourds Must Be Crazy curried pumpkin soup.
Oh, this is what I love about pumpkin. It's very versatile. You can make
really
it
is.
sweet or you can make it spicy. So we're going down the curry route today.
We are, and this is the thing, you know, you don't have to just stick with pumpkin because it is called Gourds Must Be Crazy. You could use squash, you could use any kind of gourd, like Hubbard. You've got a lovely mixture of squash around the room here.
Thank you. I'm so glad you noticed.
Yes, it's lovely. But pumpkin is so great. Not only does the inside have seeds that are so yummy when you roast them,
yes,
but the flesh itself is just beautiful. And these are baking pumpkins or cooking pumpkins, so they're the perfect kind of pumpkin for making the soup.
Nice.
If you don't want to start from scratch, because we were talking about the fact that we don't all have the luxury of roasting something or peeling it. You want something warm and yummy in your body.
Yeah.
And you want it relatively quickly. This is that recipe.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to get us started right off the bat and turn up this to high. This is going to be vegan.
All right.
But you can make this recipe not vegan, but today we're going to do it vegan because not everybody, eats meat or eats chicken stock-based food.
Yeah, now I'm personally not vegan, but I do enjoy making content for all the vegans out there.
Yes.
See, I am your friend.
Exactly. And this is super duper versatile. So the first thing I'm going to do is you can add butter to this if you weren't a vegan, but you could add butter. And before you were to add any kind of butter to your pan, you want to put a little bit of an oil in. I am using olive oil. I could use coconut oil. I could use any kind of oil for this recipe.
Okay.
And then I would put my butter in.
All right.
Because that way your butter will not burn. So whenever you're cooking with butter, put a little bit of oil in the pan first, your butter on top of that oil, and then you're never going to have black butter ever again.
My mind has been blown.
So the reason I want to add oil to this soup is because I want to release the flavors in the curry that I'm making.
Okay.
So sometimes people will say, I don't like curry, or I'm allergic to curry, but that is just not true, because curry means a combination of spices brought together to give you a nice, unique, or distinct flavor.
Okay.
So here I have an already prepared curry powder.
Right.
And that has yellow curry in it. It's got cumin. It's got cayenne.
Oh, okay.
So lovely. You usually can get it ready to go. And to that, I'm going to build it out more. I'm adding ground ginger.
All right.
Some cardamom, some nutmeg, some garam masala, which gives it a nice warm kind of think butter chicken when you think of garam masala, that kind of flavor. And what I want to do is I want to release those spices, that flavor that's already kind of within the dried powder. If you wanted to get fancy-pantsy, you could start from the very beginning, toast up your raw spices, then grind them.
Okay.
You don't have time for that.
No.
We don't have time for that. So what we're going to do is the same
fancy, but not
thing.
like that.
Exactly. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to add them to hot oil.
Okay.
The first thing I want to do, though, is add my flavor base.
Do you think we're gonna get the sizzle this time? Last time you came here, we didn't get the sizzle from the salmon.
I kind of really want it. What I'm looking for in the pan, and you always bring up such really awesome points, is that I need to see it shimmer. When it shimmers, that's going to let me know that I'm going to get a sizzle. So rather than, being anticlimactic and putting it all in, if I put one in, it's starting. So I do kind of want this gentle that's happening here.
Whispers.
Exactly. I don't want to brown them. I just want to Oh, that was a good sizzle. I just want to soften them just a little bit. So I've got this is a sweet onion, Vidalia, or any kind of sweet onion will do, because I want to use a sweet onion or a cooking onion because I want it to break down easily. If I were to use like a Spanish onion or a white onion, it wouldn't break down. It would actually be chunky in the soup.
Oh, okay. I've actually always wondered what the difference between onions are.
Right.
Do you have tips for chopping onions and not tearing them?
I do. Oh my gosh, I sure do. So when you are cutting an onion, when you cut it through the root to tip, peel it back, but don't peel off all the skin.
Oh.
And keep that root attached.
Oh.
If you keep the root attached, that's where all that gas is that breaks down the mucous membrane in your eye. So you peel the skin back, you cut it, not all the way through.
Right.
And then chop, chop, chop. You get your perfect dice. Chop, 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 chop. And then you're just left with the skin. If you want, I can show you that later.
Wow, that's very cool.
So you can see how it's just a little bit wet, getting a little bit soft. That's all I really want to do.
Yes.
Because I want it to blend up really nicely. And it's at this point that I want to add all of our yummy spices. And in you go.
Now this soup would be great as like a Thanksgiving appetizer.
Oh, yeah.
Or even on its own as like a hearty, comforting yet light lunch.
This is a really great soup if you wanted to do it as an appetizer, to serve in shot glasses and do soup shooters. Let me tell you, they are fun.
Soup shooters.
Oh, can you smell that?
The amount of knowledge you have, and it's all like fun too.
I love food, and you know what? I'm that person who doesn't like using like food as a garnish. I want to eat the food that I make, so I want it in the, how are we presenting it? That to be the fun thing.
Look at that.
And so what I want to do is I want to deglaze the pan because you can see some of it is sticking to the bottom.
Yep.
With some lovely vegetable stock.
And that's like a nice little juice box of vegetable stock too.
So this is very concentrated, and what you would do is add one of these, and then you could add 3 cups of water.
Okay.
Now in this case, I'm not going to go with water. I'm going to go with something lovelier than water, which is
wine.
Coconut. Oh yeah. Sorry. I lost myself for a second. I wish that wine would be a delicious addition. Maybe it might be. That would be called out of your gourd. Then, not the gourd's supposed to be crazy. So we've got the onion, yes, and it's softening, and you can already smell that the spice blend that I have in there is very, very aromatic.
Yes,
potent. If you want this to be spicier, add a pinch of cayenne to it. Really, it's up to you and your flavor palette because you're the chef at home.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit more of the veggie stock, and the reason I'm keeping it concentrated is because I'm going to use this lovely ingredient.
Coconut milk.
Coconut milk.
That's what makes it super creamy, right?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to add a little bit right now. Just a little. Because if I add it all and then I add my pumpkin, it's going to go sploosh and it won't be pretty because we'll be covered in pumpkin stuff.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to say that pumpkin is generally sweet.
Right.
We didn't add any sweet to this. If you wanted to roast your pumpkin ahead of time, then I'm going to say cut it into quarters, take the seeds out, put a little bit of butter and a little bit of brown sugar.
Okay.
Then roast it, and then add your pumpkin to your dish.
When I make butternut squash, that's what I do. I just do butter and brown sugar, and then I roast it.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a little bit of brown sugar, just to bring a little bit of sweetness to this. Yeah, I could just eat it like that.
I know.
Who am I kidding? And now I'm going to add some pumpkin puree, and of course you can use canned pumpkin. I wouldn't use pumpkin pie filling for this recipe.
No.
You would definitely not want to do that. I agree in cutting corners, but you have a different flavor profile in that. And now that you're incorporating that, I'm going to add the rest of my coconut milk. And again, as the chef at home, you get to decide how much you want to add or subtract. If you don't want to use coconut milk, then use cream or use regular milk. Just know that the higher the fat content of the cream that you add to this, you don't have to worry about adding it to hot soup. So if you're adding milk or 10% cream, it's going to curdle. So you're going to have to temperature it.
Oh,
Temper
okay.
it. But if you're using like a 35% cream, you can just add it straight to the soup and it won't curdle.
Okay. This is gorgeous.
So now it's almost ready, with the exception of one thing. It's got a lot of oniony lumps in it.
Yes.
So how do we fix that? Ta-da! I've got my immersion blender. I'm going to just put this there. Do you like to do this?
I've never done this before.
Oh, this is the best thing. All you have to do is put it in, and press that magic button.
Do you move it around?
Yes. I can even move this to your... There we go.
What you gonna do with all those chunks? All those chunks up in your soup?
Did you just write that?
Yeah.
I think we should do a mix to that and have it like, what you gonna do with all those chunks in your soup?
Woo!
Yummy, yummy in my
I'm
tummy.
still getting over that shot glass of soup
Yeah,
idea.
it works really, really nicely. And so now you can see it's got all those lovely little bubbles, but none of that.
Yes.
And if you're not a fan of like little chunks in it, and you don't have a blender, and you don't have any of the utensils I've just mentioned, then just get a strainer. Put it through a strainer or a sieve or a cheesecloth, and then you won't have chunks. But really, the chunks are quite tasty.
Yeah, I don't mind the chunks, but I know some people that would. So yeah, and I have a blender at home, so I would probably end up using the blender, although you've inspired me to expand my kitchen arsenal.
Awesome. Yay. I love the little handy dandy gadgets that are out there. And when I don't have a gadget, I just wing it. Like I've been known to crush nuts using the back
Your
of a
butt
plate.
cheeks. Oh, okay, that.
That I told you in private. That was between you and I. And it was coal into a diamond. And I can't wait to tell you this awesome part. It's done.
It's done.
This is the time where now we're going to taste and just make sure that it's got that flavor profile that you're looking for. Do you want it to be sweeter? I didn't go crazy with the brown sugar because coconut milk is already sweet enough. And just do a little taste to make sure it's where you want it to be.
Oh, wow.
Is that yummo?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then we can finish it with some lovely little
Hit me
roasted
up.
pumpkin seeds.
I love
'Cause
roasted
every
pumpkin
part of
seeds.
the pumpkin you want to use.
What do you roast your pumpkin seeds with?
I toss them in an oil of my choice, and then I will put salt and garlic powder or cayenne, depending on what the profile is that I'm looking for to top it with.
And then how long do you roast for, and at what temp?
375 for about 10 to 20 minutes, or you can do it on your stovetop, but don't add any oil.
Okay. And what is the difference between, you were mentioning to me that if you use chicken broth, you don't need to add salt, but if
Right.
you're using...
If you use vegetable stock, now in this case, I used the concentrated one just to pump the flavor of it. I didn't want to water it down. I just wanted to, give it as much flavor as I possibly could. But if you do this where you pour this in and then you make a full liter of it, then take any kind of salt. I always find that you can add, you can't take away. So
Right.
don't add salt while you're cooking, add it at the end.
Wow.
The difference is if you were to roast this, it would release the starches, which is what made this very thick and creamy without the need for adding cream or anything to it. If you didn't want to add cream at all and you wanted to stay true to having this as a vegan soup, and you didn't want to add coconut milk, I know I'd said the dairy before, but you could add a potato to it, and that will actually help with the starch, or a sweet potato to keep the color of it. But really, it's got a natural starch base. If you were to peel it and then steam it, it wouldn't be as starchy because it didn't have a chance to release the starches during the cook process.
Okay. Wow.
I know, wacky stuff.
Who'd have thought a soup could be so complex?
And yet yummy.
Yes, yummy and tasty. I kind of wish we had shot glasses so
I
that we
know,
could
you
knock
do
a few of these
shooters.
back. Hit me up. Give me another one, bartender.
Just line them up and go.
Well, you achieved the task, went above and beyond as usual. I'm like, do you have anything that's like a pumpkin recipe that's like quick and easy? And you came up with this, and it is absolutely delicious.
Yay, I'm so glad.
Thank you so much for sharing the recipe for
my pleasure.
Out of Your Gourd.
The gourds must be crazy.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and you're
No, Out of Your Gourd is the one with the wine. The gourds must
I love
be crazy.
it. I think I'll create that soup just for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chef
thank you,
Cori.
love.
You're amazing.
You are too.
That's been Angelica's Daily Surprise. Happy Thanksgiving.